Hi ladies, just thought I would record this straight away after our class. I'm so sorry for forgetting to press record at the beginning of the Bagalamukhi class that we've just completed. So I'm just going to record now the bits that you missed, or that I missed recording, which is my introduction, where I explained a little bit about this goddess and about her energy, and where also we chanted the mantra. So hopefully it's not too distracting for you to have your class in two parts. But the good news is that the main recording does start where we begin the practice, as it were. So this will just cover the introduction from the very beginning. So yeah, let's see. Bagalamukhi. It's interesting, isn't it? I was saying, I think that oddly enough, you know, when I work with these goddesses, something's always happening in my outer life, usually, or my inner life, of course, to reflect what I'm working with and the energy that I'm working with, because I always kind of move through the week with the intention of just being present to her and being present to what she represents. So I read a lot, I chant, and just, you know, kind of turn my awareness towards her, so that feeds into when I come to teach the actual class. And so I was given a session by somebody a couple of days ago, and she was identifying this part in me that was a very strong, deep, ancient woman who just sat in meditation and did not want to come out of meditation, because she was just so immersed in that depth of 2,000 years worth of meditation practice. And so for me, that was like, oh wow, like I'm really connecting in with Bagalamukhi, because she represents that stillness, that pure immersion in no thing. So showing you the images of her, I would have sent this around, but just so you can see again the image of Bagalamukhi with a mace in her left hand. Her right hand is holding the tongue of her enemy. Interesting that it's a man. I don't know if that's supposed to be actually sort of gender specific, but in all the representations of her, yes, she's a she, and the person whose tongue she's holding is a man. This is another image, just a little bit bigger, so you can see there she is. She's usually depicted, or she's always depicted as being the color yellow, wearing yellow, being golden, being radiant. And there's a swan there, also symbolic, on her throne. But look, she's known as the paralyzer. She's known as the one who paralyzes speech and thought. And so therefore the symbolism of holding the tongue, she's holding her enemy's tongue, so she paralyzes him. She's also invoked as a goddess for paralyzing enemies in general. But of course this, you know, when we see this kind of symbolism, it's primarily, at least in my interpretation, which isn't, you know, the truth, to symbolize stopping us, our own negative speech habits, both outer and towards ourselves, and also stopping the endless mental chatter of the ego mind. And so that's like her mace. Imagine you got bopped on the head with the mace, and imagine someone holds your tongue. So then all of this that's going on and on and on and on and on in your head, out of your mouth, and all those thoughts, is just boom, stopped. No more. It's a really powerful image. And as we've been saying, just really, really useful energy to have with us at this very moment in time, when there is so much in the collective that it's so easy to get caught up with it. Like, besides all our usual mental chatter and all our usual identifications, there's even more of it going on right now. And so having a way, a support, a tool, practices, and energy that supports us in just coming back to this deep purity, this deep unknowing, this deep not knowing, this deep stillness is so important for our mental health, let alone our spiritual evolution. And I want to read something that I read, which is about Bagalamukhi's supporting us to stop the mind clutter, the mind chatter. And in this wonderful book, which is Shakti Rising by Kavita Chinamayan, I didn't say that right, Chinayan. So blah blah thoughts are responsible for all of our suffering and anxiety. They are the culmination of the shadows of all Mahavidyas. So we've been working with the Mahavidyas, the 10 wisdom goddesses, and they all have a shadow and they all have a light. So just be aware of that, yeah? They project to the past or future. So thoughts project to the past or the future and revolve around labels and concepts with which we define ourselves. So look at what's going on right now in the world and how easy it is to get caught up in this labeling and the concepts. I've sure been doing it, you know, and it causes more anxiety, stress, and confusion. These labels give rise to a sense of lack that in turn gives rise to the shadow of obsessive desire and longing. Obsessive desire that sustains the I self sense of lack makes us feel constricted by clouding the intellect. Blah blah thoughts deter us from purposeful action. So it's not to say that we go into stillness and we no longer act, but let that action come from a place of clarity and clear seeing and clear knowing. So dropping all that we think we know, all that we've assumed about others and ourselves, all identification, drop it all, go down into the silence, and then emerge from there with purposeful action. So they cloud the intellect, they deter us from purposeful action and steep us in inertia, the shadow of inertia. By becoming addicted to their incessant activity, so the thoughts are constant, but the action might not be. We may be paralyzed into inertia because we don't know what to do. So then we feel disconnected from the divine, and are pulled into the shadow of ignorance of our true nature. The clutter of blah blah thoughts is the looming shadow of Bagalamukhi. They are represented by her nemesis. She strikes his symbolic tongue to still the activity of our blah blah and enable us to wake up to the purity of silence. Silence. Golden, golden silence. So let that sense of decluttering, of clearing, of getting rid of the blah blah, not just apply to your words, to your speech, to your inner speech, to your thinking, but let it apply also to decluttering your life, your environment, your time, and your relationships. I've been giving thought to that myself this week, thinking how much time I waste in my addiction to social media. It's not good. I'm aware of it, and I want to declutter that. And I didn't share this in my introduction, that I didn't record, but I'm going to share this now. I was on a satsang last night with one of my great spiritual teachers, Ananta Kranti, and she invited us all to take a look at where we are distracting ourselves right now from feeling everything and being with everything, just in pure awareness. How are you distracting yourself? She asked us this, and I'm looking at this for myself, so I'm not preaching to you, but how are you distracting yourself? What addictions do you have, whether it's gluten, sugar, alcohol, coffee, to distract yourself from feeling and being with what's arising for you. Distractions, addictions, identifications, and because of what's happening in the outer environment right now, it is so full on, and it's going to become more. So really, really and truly, like the skill and the capacity to be in stillness, to observe yourself, to pull back into that still center is going to be more and more and more crucial. Which is not to say that you don't act, but first come into the stillness and find your inner guru, that inner guru where truth is. To find the inner guru, again, there's a whole process that needs to happen of unlearning, disidentifying, so not getting caught up in the spiritual materialism of acquiring more spiritual gifts, more spiritual techniques, more spiritual wisdom. You know, I see that tendency can be in myself just as much as in others. Letting all of that go, like literally letting everything go. And then what is left? What is left? What is left? What is left? Stillness, emptiness, awareness, presence. So bosh on the head, stilling the tongue, purity of thought, innocence, not knowing, declutter, no blah blah. This is what she brings to us, watching out for the shadow of inertia and disconnect from the divine. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to say. And then tuning in with the mantra, Hlim, H-L-R-I-M. Obviously, L-R doesn't really allow itself to be pronounced. So what I found in chanting is that really it becomes H-L-I-M, although it's written H-L-R-I-M, is her seed mantra. Om Hlim, Bagalamukhi, Svaha. Om Hlim, Bagalamukhi, Svaha. Bagala means noose or rain, raining in the ego, the thoughts and all the craziness, the identifications, the attachments. So that stilling and the enemy, the nemesis, is really our own negative. It's really our own craziness. It's really our own blah blah. So Bagala Mukhi meaning face. That is what the word means. Bagalamukhi. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. I've shortened the longer mantra so that it's easy for us. And then Bagalama, she's often just referred to as Bagala. Okay, let's go. So comfortable in your sitting position. Tall spine. Drawing your energy in. Taking some deeper breaths. And as you draw your energy in, as you bring yourself more present, just allowing everything that is with you right now, including your blah blah thoughts, allowing them to be. So in allowing, everything begins to still. It's a contradiction. It sounds like a paradox, but allow it and it will come to rest in its own time. So notice your seat. Draw your spine up tall, relax your shoulders, your face. Breathing deeply into the body through your nose. Have the intention of chanting with devotion, chanting with sincerity, chanting with the intention to call in and experience this energy of the Goddess Bagalamukhi. Tip of the tongue goes to the roof of the mouth after this, and third eye focus. Helps to still the mind, gives a single pointed focus. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. Bagalamukhi Svaha. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Svaha. Om Hlim Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Bagalama, 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 Bagalama. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Bagalama, 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 Bagalama. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Bagalama, 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 Bagalama. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Bagalama, 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 Bagalama. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. Last time. Om Shri Bagalamukhi Swaha. And just sitting in the stillness. Tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Eyes closed and focused at the brow point. Breath flowing in, breath flowing out. Relax your shoulders, your face, tall spine. Dropping deeper into the stillness inside. As you deepen and lengthen the breath now, just become aware of the still points at the very bottom of the in-breath and the other still point at the very end of the out-breath. Those two turning points. I'm just going to focus our attention there. top of the out breath, the bottom of the in breath. And so we begin our class with this meditation on the breath and resting our awareness, those two still points and turning paths. Stay with this practice. Keep your focus internal, your energy still. And then as this video comes to an end, just begin the next one and you'll transition straight on to the rest of the class.